Okay, Ziana, I want to just go over the examples that I didn't get a chance to go over the last time. So we have a few questions, and with each of these questions, we want to um, find out what the axis of symmetry is and what the vertex is. Remember, the axis of symmetry is a line. It's a straight line. It's an up and down line, vertical line, and you represent a vertical line by saying x equals whatever. So the axis of symmetry has a formula, as we know. And once we find out, well, you already know the axis of symmetry has a formula, negative b over 2a. And once you find out the axis of symmetry, you can find out the vertex. And when you find out the vertex, you're just saying, hey, we already know the x based on the axis of symmetry. Plug that x into the original equation and end up with your y value, and that'll give you the vertex. So without further ado, I want to try to make this under 10 minutes. We'll see if we can't get through all three of these. I'm going to rewrite the first one, x squared minus 6x plus 11. Now what I tend to do is I tend to do this thing here, a equals 1, b equals negative 6, c equals 11. I tend to just write that out. Helps me. So now if I'm trying to find the axis of symmetry, and it's always, the axis of symmetry is always expressed like x equals some number. Okay, so in this case it's negative b, which negative b would be a 6 because b is negative 6, so that'd be a 6 over 2 times a, which is 1. So the axis of symmetry would be, the axis of symmetry would be 3. Now what that means is on a graph, if we 1, 2, 3, if we just drew a straight vertical line at x equals 3, then the parabola is going to fold around this axis of symmetry equally. Okay, it's going to be the equal amount on both sides of that axis of symmetry. So that's our, now if we're trying to find the vertex, the x we already know, the x is here. We have to find the y value. And the way we find that is just by plugging that x into the original equation. So that looks like x squared minus 6x plus 11. That would be 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 11, 9 minus 18 plus 11, negative 9 plus 11, 2. Plug that back in here. That's our vertex. So along this axis of symmetry line, we're trying to find the point 3, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's our vertex. And if we wanted to guess this parabola, we can say, well, the a is a positive, so we know it's going to look more like a smile. And because the a is actually a 1, then it's going to be curved the same way the parent parabola is. Remember that parent parabola, y equals x squared? It's going to have that kind of curve. So that might look something like this. Not too skinny, not too wide. So that's our first one. So we have the axis of symmetry is x equals 3, and the vertex is 3, 2. Let's do 2 more. You should get the hang of this. I think there's a lot of these in your book. Y equals 4x squared plus 7. A equals 4. B equals 0. C equals 7. Okay, so the axis of symmetry right up there, negative 0 over 2 times 4 just equals 0. So the axis of symmetry is 0, or actually x equals 0. And if we were over here, that would actually be right on the x equals 0 right here. So that's right along the y axis. Okay, so the parabola, whatever it is, it's going to curve around the y axis. Okay, so Now let's try to find the vertex. We already have the x because it's 0. And we just plug the x into the original equation. You know, if we do that, if 4x squared, if x is 0, 4 times 0 squared is 0 plus 7. So the y value is going to be 7. That's pretty easy. So the point of the vertex, 0, 7. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the vertex. Now, because it's y equals 4x squared plus 7, we know the parabola is going to sort of look like the U shape because this is a positive number. And because it's greater than 1, it's going to be skinny. So I hope that's skinnier than our other parabola. Okay, so that's the second one down. Let's get the third one. Little trickier, but let's see here. Y equals 1/2 x squared plus 8x minus 9. Alright, A equals 1/2, B equals 8, C equals minus 9. Okay, we want to find the axis of symmetry, negative b over 2a. Negative 8, because b is 8, negative 8 over 2 times a is 1/2. Alright, negative 8. 2 times 1/2 is just kind of like 2 over 1 times 1 over 2. That's negative 8 over 2 over 2. That's really just 1, so it's really just negative 8. Okay, hope you see that. So the axis of symmetry, x equals negative 8. Okay, so now let's find the vertex. And we already have the x, negative 8. We just plug that back into the original equation to get the, now we're looking for the y value. Okay, so y equals, just 1/2 over negative 8 squared plus 8 times negative 8 minus 9. Alright, that equals negative 8 squared is positive 64 times 1/2. 64 times 1/2 is like 64 divided by 2. That's going to give you 32. Negative 8 times positive 8, it's going to give you a negative number, so that's negative 64. Negative 64 minus 9. Okay, so 32 minus 64 is a minus 32. And then you bring down the minus 9. That equals a minus 41. So I plug that back into here, minus 41. This is almost off the chart in terms of our graph here. But if we had to find the axis of symmetry, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8. Axis of symmetry would be here. And the vertex would be way down where, like negative 40 would be way down, and like negative 41 would be like right below it. So that would be, our axis, our vertex. Vertex would be, bam, right here. Now, what would the parabola look like if we had to guess? Well, going back, we can see that the A is positive, so it's going to sort of look like a smile, but the A is actually less than 1, so it's going to be kind of wide, or wider than the parent parabola. So that, if I say more, wider than normal, might look like that. Just kind of guessing. Okay, we did it under 10 minutes. Love you. Bye.